What's up, everybody? This is the Sports Counterpoints podcast. I'm GB. I got Brian and Coop with me as always. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
It's been about what, 3 weeks or so?
Yeah,
It's been 3
Yeah,
weeks.
it's been a while. Okay.
pretty much how we do during the summertime until we kind of get back to a regular cadence with football, unless we have something that's going on specifically. And I don't mind. Gives a chance to be with the families and chill. So good to be back with y'all today for sure, man. Talking our usual sports chat, if you will. Today we're talking NBA Finals. We're talking the WNBA. We'll talk a little bit about Team USA for the women's team. We're going to talk about the US Open in golf. And then we got a little NFL, college football, Madden cover just released. So some fun stuff right now. So starting with the NBA Finals, you know, I guess I can't say it's my worst nightmare because if the Mavs won, I wouldn't be upset. But I definitely do not want to see the Celtics win. And it looks like Porzingis is hurt now, so it's a little different. So we'll see. But what have you guys thought about this finals run so far with these last couple games, as we're 2 games in?
Okay, go ahead. Start. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah. So if you had asked me before the final started, and I had planned on talking about it if we had done something last week, I was going to take the Celtics in 6. I just think that they're the better team, and then one thing about championships is you can't win them when you play zero defense. Now there are teams that have won that were more offensively focused, but there has not been a team that literally goes out of their way to not play defense that wins. And that's why I would have picked Boston over Dallas, because Dallas just eschews the idea that they need to play defense. Their strategy as far as defense goes is we're going to outscore you. And we're going to keep on shooting. And so far that hasn't worked. Jaylen Brown has been playing well. Tatum's been playing acceptably. And the team as a whole has looked like they were going to win. So I still think that that's going to be the case. I do think this Porzingis injury is a very, very big wild card. Oddly enough, I don't know if you guys ever follow these types of weird things, but there's a dog that's never gotten the NBA Finals wrong.
Yeah.
Always kind of shoots.
On the
And
stairs.
it actually had the first, the first two games going, and then this next game going to Dallas, and then it ended up being Dallas winning in 7 in a comeback. So we'll see what happens. But I do think that this is a very significant blow to the team that was playing well. I thought it was really encouraging that the Boston Celtics were able to bring Porzingis back after a long out and right before finals and be able to kind of bring him into the mix so quickly and effectively. And all that's for naught. And, as Mike Tyson likes to say, everyone has a plan until they get punched. Well, Boston just got
100%.
punched. They didn't get punched by Dallas. They got punched by the injury bug that takes on so many other teams. But I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to say that, that Boston's going to find a way to pull this out. I'm not rooting for them. I'm not a Boston fan. We all know this.
Sure.
I don't have the same vitriol of disdain for Boston because they only play them twice. Like Lakers only play them twice a year now. It's not like the old days where it was like them matching up all the time or they play each other 4 times a year. I have a much, much more disdain for Clippers and their fans. And so, that I really don't like Luka and Kyrie. I think they're very talented basketball players, but I also don't really like who they are. So I'm not really rooting for anyone. I was joking on the group chat that I'm rooting for the refs. I'm rooting for the refs just not to screw it up. But I do think that Boston is the better team. Whether or not they're able to hold on with Porzingis hurt will be left to be seen. Jason, what about you?
Yeah, my disdain for Boston will always be there. I hate that team more than
Agreed.
anything.
I
Okay,
agree.
anything. I hate the Clippers too. Don't get me wrong. Not as much as
I got
Brian.
enough hate for both of them.
Right. But I do hate the Celtics. But I did have the Celtics winning even during the regular season. I told a lot of people, like, hey, you really think? I'm like, they're just deeper than everybody. I agree with you, Brian. That Porzingis injury is it's a wild card. Not saying it'll prevent Boston from winning, but we have to see how things play out because Porzingis had pretty much mismatches, and he was taking advantage of it, shooting over people, blocking shots. He was very, very active.
Bro.
Yeah, he was very
unstoppable
active
in that first game.
and he's an okay player, but Dallas made him look really, really good. Like he's a definite 10-time All-Star. He's not that good, but he played well. And now that he's hurt again, we got to see how Boston adjusts. If you ask me how they will adjust, I say Tatum starts shooting more. Tatum was being more of a facilitator in my mind, And it was working. I mean, you can be a facilitator, and I mean, he's not, even though he trained with Kobe and idolizes Kobe, he's not Kobe. He's not a killer like Kobe. He's going to get his other teammates involved, and he's perfectly fine scoring 10 to 12 points and winning basketball games. And yeah, his stat line might not be great, but they're winning games, and that's just the bottom line. He wants to win a title. I get that. But I think that's how they're going to combat that. I know the first two games went under the total, under 212 points. They were really low scoring. I know because I bet both, but also bet the over in game three, 213 points. So I do think it's going to be some scoring, and I think that's going to be aided by Tatum shooting more. And plus, Dallas, should play better at home. They should be the desperate team. They should get more calls because they're going to be more aggressive. They can't go down 3-0 because everybody knows they go down 3-0, the series is pretty much over. As far as both teams are concerned, Brian, I was with you, especially after game one. Is Dallas going to play any damn defense? That was my first thought. I mean, these guys, Celtics, they shoot hella threes a game, and you're just letting them just keep bombs away. You got that AAU defense. Just wait for them to miss, get the rebound, and say he with us, and then go down the other court and try to score. I mean, that's not going to work in the NBA Finals. So if Dallas can somehow guard them on defense, and I don't know, Brian, how you feel about this, but Luka is so ball dominant. I'm not sure if that works against a Boston Celtics defense. I would think you would need a little more ball movement against the Celtics to try to get some points, because the role players for Dallas haven't been playing too well. They should play better at home because players generally play well at home. But I don't like that Luka dominating the ball for 18, 19 seconds. Then once he gets to the free throw line, makes a pass and try to make something happen. I don't like that against the Celtics. I think that's playing to their hands, because once they get the ball, they're out and running, and they have numbers. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But
I
what you think?
completely agree with you on all of that. I think the catch is that one of their biggest advantages on defense was their height and their length, and they lose some of that with Porzingis being on the rack. So we'll see if Luka and Kyrie are so good at playing the game of basketball that their existence in a basketball court is a wild card. Mm-hmm. And what we've seen is, one night Luka got it going, and then one night Kyrie was playing pretty good, and Luka couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. And so ultimately that was a problem. But, like if you I'm looking at it right now, they let teams score 116 points, and there was only like one team in the Western Conference and two teams in the Eastern Conference that allowed more points that made the playoffs, not play-ins, made the playoffs because the Lakers lost scores. But that's the reality of it. Like the teams that don't play defense get beat up, like you were saying, and it's only a matter of whether or not they can keep it all together with Porzingis out. And the thing about it is Porzingis wasn't starting. Right, He got 20 points in the first game. He shot very efficiently, but it's just his presence, that extra height, for a team that clearly prides themselves on defense. I mean, what their opponent, they're allowing 110 points, which was, I think, the best of any team that made the playoffs, that made not the play-in. And that's kind of where their focus has been. I think that's the X factor.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think Porzingis added. I mean, he's been out for most of the playoffs, right? So they battled and they got to where they got, and they weren't. I mean, they won the games, but they weren't as dominant as they looked when he was in there. That first game, I mean, they couldn't miss, and everything Porzingis threw up hit.
They got a very I get you can only play the teams in front of you, 100%. But it was a very fortuitous walk through the playoffs to this point, and Porzingis coming back when he did was a very big deal. It seemed like everything was kind of coming up Boston. But go ahead.
Well, GB, it wasn't that that game one how they kept open threes. It was more how, if you look at game 1 and 2, Boston's shots are just easier, and Dallas looks like they just have to work for everything. They keep going inside. They're working way too hard for their shots, and whereas Boston is not working hard at all. They're pretty much getting what they want. You're missing open jump shots, but at least they're getting open jump shots. They're going to the basket whenever they want. It's not really much resistance, that Dallas is giving them.
That's the difference between when you're playing one-on-one on a ball in the offense, and that's harder for an offense to score sustainable points. whereas Boston is playing against a team that doesn't want to play defense.
Yeah. And I mean, to that point, that first game it also had one of those feels that just kind of the energy was high, the emotion was high, because at one point, I mean, they were just throwing one hands, two hands, and everything was just cash.
Yeah.
And it was just, like an onslaught. And then the Mavs never recovered. I didn't see game 2, but we'll see what happens with these next games. I will say that Jason Kidd has been very good about making adjustments and understanding the game and where to go. So
yeah, he's not.
especially where Kristaps out.
I'm not gonna say he's bad, but I have a hard time. Nothing against Jason Kidd. I'm favorite high school player I've ever seen in my life, but it's just that, is it really him? But I've seen Doc Rivers win a title when he had pretty much the best team in the NBA. It's
it is.
It's like
you gotta get there.
But Jason Kidd doesn't have the best team in the NBA.
Well, yes, it's two good
No one
players,
has argued that.
But it's right? but Tyrone Lue won a title. Do I think he's a great coach? I mean, I'm not saying nothing bad. It's just a thought I have. Like in football, I know it's coaching. In NBA, I'm not so sure.
Players can prop up coaches.
Yeah.
But good coaches still show good coaching. I think Jason Kidd has proven that he is a good coach.
Yep.
In that he has a team that, look, I think he needs to just, create a defensive plan, and he can't do the Phoenix championship strategy. It did not work. We all saw that. But I do think he's a solid coach. I do think that there were more reasons for the Dallas Mavericks, Luka and Kyrie, to fail than to succeed. The fact that they have not failed and did not blow up when things kind of got wobbly, I think is a testament to his ability to coach and keep it together. And that was what Phil did. Yeah. Like, the reason why Phil is a good coach is not because of the triangle. I'm sure he gets a lot of credit, but that's Tex Winter. It was because he was able to manage teams and personalities that had a lot of different reasons to wobble and fall apart, and he kept them together. And I think that's
he also got the greatest testament. He got Jordan and Kobe to pass the ball. I mean, that's the greatest testament to Phil Jackson. He got them to pass the damn basketball, which is extremely hard to do. Nobody's ever been able to get either one of them to do it. So, and I'm with you. Manage the personalities and the ego.
Yep, exactly.
That's not easy. It's not easy at all.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
No.
You're right.
100% agree. Any last thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Not on this. No. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Game 3 tomorrow at 5:30 PST.
I already gave my pick for that. No over. Over 213. Should be some points.
Yep. I could see that.
My money says so.
Peerless One Sports plug. And as far as our team, we're talking Celtics, Lakers, Coop. Coop, we were talking about it, but Brian, you mentioned, let's kind of throw you got a conspiracy theory as to who the coach is going to be.
So I said literally the minute that they finally made the move on Ham that it was going to be Redick, and I pointed out, I think even I talked about on here once that they've been doing the podcast since March together, and I said it was written, and then and it started to become a little bit of a story, and then this crazy curveball came. All of a sudden, it was like we went from all signs show Redick to Dan Hurley's coming out and going to be offered a $70 million contract on Friday. He hadn't even been here, and they're already talking about the deal behind the works. So anyone who wanted to listen, I was telling them, it's all a smokescreen. This is all 100% a smokescreen. Dan Hurley was in negotiations for a contract extension in UConn. Dan Hurley wanted some leverage. Guess who he broke the news that he was talking to the Lakers with? Adrian Wojnarowski, who just released a book in the last year talking about Bobby Hurley, Dan Hurley's dad. I think his name was Bobby Hurley as well. And his coaching and so it's just weird that Dan Hurley tells him, like, hey, I'm really close to going out there. This is a really serious consideration. Hadn't been there. And all of a sudden they were this close to a deal. And it came through Woj, who had written the book about Dan's dad. So he comes out here, does the whole song and dance, says all the right things, all through Adrian Wojnarowski, saying, I've got to really consider this. This is such an interesting opportunity. When the dollars and cents of it were that for the number of years, each year it was only $1 million difference. There just never seemed to be a reason why he would accept it. So when that started happening, I told everybody, I said, this is a whole smokescreen. I said, this is all we're doing here is trying to make sure that Pelinka doesn't look like a jackass when Redick fails, if Redick fails. So they do a win-win-win. Dan gets his bigger money at UConn. He stays there. Woj gets a bunch of publicity for being the guy who dropped it. Nobody seems to be talking about the fact that he wrote the book on the Hurley family. And then we're going to see Redick get hired probably in the next week. And it looks like they went with the next best option after Dan Hurley spurned them. There's all types of news cycles talking about how the Lakers should be embarrassed about getting – this was always the plan. This was 100% always the plan.
Yeah, I don't I mean, didn't LeBron get what he had? He had Ty. Did he win with Ty Lue? No.
Yeah, he did. He won a championship with Ty Lue and Coop.
That was his first year. Ty Lue's first year.
I think it was his second year. He did like a year and a half.
Right, because he took over. Right.
And then Spoelstra, they had like 2 years, and then
he won title with Frank Vogel, who just got fired in Phoenix.
Oh, yeah. But it was Vogel's first year, second year.
Probably. I don't know.
For a second.
I think it was the second year. But yeah, like Lue ain't coming. It's Redick. And the other one, I'm cool. It's cool. It's James Borrego, the assistant in Charlotte, who happens to have a connection to AD. And so there were some stories like AD is going to have a bigger say in who's the next coach and all this other stuff. It's Redick.
Oh man, it's just such a.
And I think Pelinka. And I'm not saying success or failure for Redick. I'm simply saying that Pelinka is doing all of this stuff to give himself air cover in case it doesn't work out, because putting a first-year coach in the bench, Borrego would be also a first-time coach, although he has more experience as an assistant coach than Redick does. And, he'll be able to say, look, I went and tried to get the best coach in sports with Dan Hurley. He didn't want to come. I offered him a bunch of money. We did what we could do. We went with the guy who wanted to be here, and that's Redick. And
so
whatever happens.
LeBron basically coaches the team with Redick.
There are people who believe that one of the nice things about Redick is that he's so outspoken, and he's done it both in the podcast or whatever, that he can manage personalities. But it's a big difference when you're your buddy. We're all talking. We're on a podcast together.
Right.
But get any of us in the heat of competition. And I don't think any of us have problems telling each other to go fly kite, but sometimes people do when they're in the trenches with their buddies. They don't want to. They're more worried about the relationship than the honesty, and we've yet to see whether or not somebody can tell LeBron James, like, hey man, I need you to play a different role. You're the beat guy now, and please, I don't even want to say it and jinx this. But if they end up getting the third star that everyone talks about them getting, he's going to be the third scoring option, because this other individual has absolutely no conscience when it comes to shooting.
I'm sorry, I must have let the cat out the bag. Yeah, okay. All right.
I will say his name because I don't want it to be a thing.
Yeah.
But we all know who everyone is talking about, and I hope he stays his butt in the ATL.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Yeah. But you know what happens when we want the guy to stay where they're at?
I know, man.
They end up coming.
Like I said, like when Glenn said it earlier in the group, like a month or two ago in group chat, like, don't you all be? I said, we can't think it. It's written. Like it's.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that. I mean, good luck to JJ. That's a tough spot to come in for your first job off the street.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well he'll be fired in a couple of years. You can ask Luke Walton, but
that's what I'm
best job in sports, fired coach.
But look, I'm with you. I hate when I get those. We pretty much know who it's going to be, JJ Redick, and then at the very end somebody swoops in, and you think people think they're a serious candidate for the job, and usually never happens. I'm always leery about that because I always think it's about to get more money. That's what I always think it's about, getting more leverage, get more money. It was the same thing with Nick Saban. He was going to go to Texas, and all he was trying to do was get more money from Alabama, and he did. I mean, you hear it from coaches all the time. They use other teams as leverage just to get more money for the place that they're at because they really don't want to leave. They just want more money for whatever reason. So, I never bought into the whole Hurley thing. I thought it was always going to be Reddick. Looks like it's probably still going to be Reddick. I'll be shocked if it's not Reddick, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, me too.
I'm with you, Brian. I never bought into the Hurley thing. Never bought into it. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, it was just too sudden, too out of nowhere.
And then,
Yeah.
like I said, today is when the news, the I shouldn't say the news, the minor realization that some people started talking about the fact that all the news about Hurley and the Lakers got broken by Woj, and Woj literally just wrote the book on the Hurley family and their work in New Jersey and the high school that he coached at.
Yeah. I still don't like him as a coach, though. I mean, I like him as a coach. I just don't like the way he acted during the championship game. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah,
Trying to
I
show
don't
people
know.
up. I didn't like that. But anyway.
I don't know that any of that gets us closer to a championship, especially without
No.
overhaul the roster. So
Not
we'll
with
see
our
what happens.
roster. Yeah. We could
So-
have Phil Jackson. Still wouldn't happen. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
Oh, wow.
What's up?
Oh, I just looked up who else. So there's always another connection. So I just looked up who Dan Hurley's agent is Brett Just, and who his client list is. And top of the list was Borrego.
Oh wow. So he was in there either way. So unless y'all got any last thoughts there,
Yep. I'm good.
keep
Nope.
moving. So WNBA, a little bit of talk. So first, I'm pulling up. I have an article going. WNBA has drawn its highest attendance since the league's second season in 1998. Best television ratings in history. 236% growth in sales for merchandise. Capacities filled to 94%. Some moving to larger arenas. It looks like the WNBA is definitely making good on this rookie class, which had a lot of eyes on all those players coming from college and coming into the league, and they're taking advantage of it. It's been very interesting to see. Caitlin Clark has been a big portion of that. I think Angel Reese has been, Cameron Brink, and her balling, but also outfits and kind of how they're. I've seen a lot more coverage of the WNBA in different ways. Walk up fits, a lot more clips, etc. So just kind of want to get you guys' thoughts. I doubt any of us have watched many full games, but just
No.
have you seen any increase or anybody talking about it? Kind of your thoughts on any of it?
Personally, no, I haven't watched a game. I'm sure she has like eyeballs on maybe a lot of middle America eyeballs on the TV
Well,
set watching her play,
bro, it's everybody, bro.
But as far as people like out here, I've talked to, I don't know, I would say at least 25, 30 people actually they watch, they say no. Now, I'm not saying that's representative of other people, but I'm just saying people I know, nobody's watching. I'm not watching. I see some things on social media about her, when she's getting knocked down and hit, and they're making a whole big deal about it, and all these people defending her, and I don't seem to get that. Why they're defending her? I want to say because she's white, they're just defending her. I don't get it. I've seen this happen to black players, women, men and women. I mean, throughout all my time watching basketball, you get some young hot shot, some upstart that's supposed to take over the league.
Young hot shot.
They get hit, they get hurt, they get roughed up a little bit. The thing that nobody's talking about in my mind, I don't know if this has already been said or what's on TV, whatever, because I don't really watch people talk about WNBA, but every time she gets knocked down, there's nobody on her team that's actually an enforcer or trying to knock the other person on the team down or trying to help her, whatever, or defender or fighter. And I never see that. That's kind of odd to me. Usually when somebody's playing basketball and somebody gets knocked down, especially a person supposed to be their best player or star player, there's usually people that, or at least one person, maybe two, that rushes to the defense of a person. I don't see anybody on that team that does that. So that's kind of odd to me. I don't know if do her teammates even like her, or maybe because of her attitude. I don't know. I just found that kind of odd. This is supposed to be the golden goose, and nobody wants to protect her. And I know all these people are knocking her down and talking about her whatever in the league, but if Caitlin Clark is a success, that's more money for everybody in the NBA. I'm in the WNBA. I look at her like Tiger Woods for golf. Tiger being good raised the purses of all these tournaments and the bank accounts of a lot of golfers. And I think if Caitlin Clark is successful,
And he didn't
she
let
could
none
do
of
this.
them win though.
What's that?
he didn't lose any tournaments, so they
He's
didn't.
like,
Well,
really
yeah,
need
well,
that
him.
second place
yeah, well,
award
he's
is
a
going to be
killer.
nice and beefy for you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, we can come in second, but second was still a big payday, but as before he came, but yeah, if Caitlin Clark has to hit. I mean, I think the WNBA success is banking on her to hit, and if she doesn't hit in a couple years, maybe 3 years at the most, all that fan viewership and hyping and whatever, it's just going to go down. I mean, she has to come out there and kill it. Uh, I don't know. Somebody tried to compare her to Cheryl Miller, Reggie Miller's sister, when she was first coming out. I was like, nah, Cheryl Miller would probably dominate everybody in this
Yeah,
NBA. She
but
was
they
she
didn't
was so damn good, but I
didn't
don't
have the
know.
eyes.
Yeah,
Right now, the eyes are
didn't have the
there.
eyes and the internet exactly. So to
Social
me,
media.
if
Yep.
this is just my prediction before I let you go, Brian. If Caitlin Clark does not hit, I don't think the WNBA is going to reach these, successes and money and everything that everybody thinks they're going to get because, of this rookie class. I think Caitlin Clark has to be the person, not Angel Reese, but Caitlin Clark has to be the person because that's the person they're marketing. And I think it's also a mistake to leave her off the Olympic team, but I'll stop here. Go ahead, B. What you think about it?
Yeah, you know what? We're on polar ends on this one. So again, for those of you who watch podcasts, listen to podcasts, whatever, I'm not a huge Caitlin Clark the person fan. I did think that she was kind of a rude and a
Kind
little
of a
obnoxious in
kind of a
college.
punk, huh?
Yeah.
Young
That
punk.
being said, that being said, so much of the comparisons that I see to what's going on in the WNBA are being done through the lens of the NBA. And so, Jason, what you were
Right.
just saying right there was like, there's nobody who's coming up to her defense and all that kind of stuff. The WNBA has never had that role on a team. There's one girl that on that team that got known for it, and she's been kicked out of the league 3 times.
Right.
So they just haven't had that kind of an environment. They don't know that the audience is looking because the audience hasn't been looking.
Right.
But the numbers certainly suggest that there's something going on. And I talked about this in the group chat. I don't think that so much of this, I don't think that they mind that Caitlin Clark is a successful white basketball player in the Midwest going up against inner city kids who are playing, black women who are playing on inner city teams. Playing in Chicago. These are, I don't think they mind that dynamic is there. It's something that they can market. But I think independent of that, what they're excited about is trying to capture what was going on in the NCAA and bring it here. And what they need to seize the momentum isn't necessarily for Caitlin Clark to be great, because what other sports have figured out is, as long as you jump to the next lily pad before the other one goes bust, before the other one goes under and sinks, you're okay. We see it all the time with NFL quarterbacks who get drafted early. They're super hyped in 3 years. We're on to the next super quarterback who got drafted early. It's the same thing in the NBA. They know that the marketing professionals know how to hop around. The worry is that they don't have the right marketing professionals in the WNBA, and that they expect this magic to happen as opposed to doing what NBA marketing professionals have figured out. And it took them time. I mean, when there was an ABA merger, the marketing didn't work, that nothing worked, right? It took a white player from French Lick, Indiana, going up against an inner city kid playing in a big lights town in Los Angeles. It took that same type of dynamic. And then before you knew it, the minute both of those guys were great.
Yeah, they came in and killed it. Exactly. Yeah.
But since then, what they have figured out is you've gone from lily pad to lily pad, from player to player. Baby Jordan, Harold Miner, at one moment was SC. He was going to be the next great thing. He's blah, blah, blah. He couldn't dribble without putting his head down. And now, and our buddy Matt always likes to joke, you could still find him over at the Inglewood Parks playing. So it's just a matter of trying to figure out and seize the momentum. What they need to figure out is how they're going to take that money and get players to stay, because what they really don't want is these people going and getting contracts internationally during the off season. They need them to be here. They need them to be committed. They need them to be doing marketing. And then they need to seize. So I thought it was encouraging when the Ball brother was at the Chicago game and saw the player Reese get kicked out. It was like, I got you, sis. Like the ref was trash. You're starting to see more and more of these athletes advertise the fact that they're going to the game. Some of them went before, but now they're going and they're posting and it's making articles.
Last few years
you can market, because this is not about. I don't think sports, when it comes to this, is about how good they are. It's about how marketable they are. And so I already gave you my conspiracy theory that if Caitlin Clark busts this year, they'll switch to Cameron Brink in a heartbeat. She's very, very marketable. She has a connection to the NBA. She's not ugly, and she has a style and a thing about her that's kind of like Steph, because she kind of grew up in that kind of same world where she's a little bit arrogant, but also got some other things going. There's just another place to go, and all they have to do is keep on jumping. You just got to keep it up, keep it moving, keep on going to the next player. I know a lot of people who are actually watching more of these games. Now, in fairness, I've only watched, I think, one or two, and it was always because I saw that it was on, and I got 6 TVs in my room. But I know a lot of other people. I have noticed a racial dynamic to that. I don't see a lot of Black men who are super diehard NBA athletes, fans watching it, but I see a ton of people. Let's call it corporate white America talking about it. I go down the hallway at a law firm where, and they're like, oh, I'm going to try and get WNBA tickets. Staples gave my email. I always get the stuff for the Sparks Staples Center. It's crypto now, but it's always going to be Staples to me.
Right. There you go.
I get emails all the time in my professional work email. Come see Caitlin Clark play the Sparks. Before, it's a whole different dynamic. I used to get them to my personal email because I've gone to a couple games and taken my daughters over the years. I haven't gotten one there, and it's all marketing to corporate America. Yeah. I happen to work at a prestigious law firm. It's a different game. They don't want our money, right? What they want is people to buy season tickets.
Yeah, that's the sports model. Yeah,
that's because that's the model that wins. That's why the A's had to leave and the Raiders had to leave, and a bunch of other teams have had to move and do that because they needed to be able to market to corporate. And the WNBA, from what I can tell, has done a good job of it early on. And Glenn just gave some numbers at the beginning that kind of support that.
Yeah, and I think the increase we've seen has been drastic from the numbers issue right now. To that point, I don't know that us as individuals, like Brian said, he watched a couple of games. I have watched halves here or there, but that's indicative of my actual basketball watching, male, female, kids. Like I don't really, honestly, probably since Kobe passed, truthfully, I'll give maybe the 2020, that last championship. I haven't really watched basketball like that anyway. So it's not like it's the women thing, but I'm just looking at the numbers. I mean, you're talking about drastic strides from a monetary standpoint, viewership, everything there. Conversation. How many WNBA topics did we have on the show in the last 5 years compared to this last 8 months, 6, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think the impact's been large.
I don't know if anyone saw this, but yesterday there was an article in CNN talking about the WNBA had their most watched NBA game ever, right? And it was the Fever versus the Washington Mystics. Like this is obviously a Caitlin Clark thing. I don't even know who the players on the Washington Mystics are. But they are, as part of this article, it talked about Reese, who plays for Chicago Sky. The Sparks has Cameron Brinks. The Aces have Kate Martin. And this year, they're averaging 1.32 million viewers a game on the networks. Last year, they averaged 462,000. That's almost 3x the number of viewers this year. No matter what happens next, that is impressive. And if it's all Caitlin Clark, which I don't think it is, I do think it's Cameron Brink. I do think it's Angel Reese. I do think Caitlin has an outsized proportion of that. Yeah. I do think it's, Kate Martin. I do think it's just a Las Vegas team that was stacked last year, and people are actually going, wow, they're pretty good.
Asia and Kelsey Plum and all them. Yeah, they ball. So sliding to Team USA.
Wait. Oh, yeah. I got to give a shout out to Team USA. Chelsea Gray. That's my boy's niece. Orlando. That's his niece. She made the U.S. Olympic team. Got to give a shout out to her.
Yeah, she balled.
Awesome.
She won a couple championships too. So Team USA.
Manteca, California, huh?
Yeah, that's out over here out by us. So for Team USA, I find that interesting, Coop. I want to get your thoughts because you're thinking that they're making a mistake. I don't necessarily believe that, especially since Team USA, the women's team, has not lost a game since 1998. So I think they know what they're doing.
Let me go first, Jason, because I'll get out of your way real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the only thing that I'll say is this. I don't think this was a decision that they could go a different direction. Now, people want to make something out of it because Caitlin Clark's not on the team, and there's always a she could not make the training camp in which the players went to decide. The NBA has had to make the same hard decisions. Everyone talks about how Kyrie didn't get left off. He couldn't make the training camps there. If you're the Team USA, and what Glenn just said, they haven't lost in forever. This is kind of
1998.
Yeah, this is one of those things where, it's seemingly a foregone conclusion. I don't want to jinx them. But I don't think they had another decision to make. If they had let somebody who didn't try out for the team make it, and Chelsea Gray or Nafisa Collier or Kalia Copper or maybe one of the bigger names like Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Diana Taurasi, or Brittany Griner didn't make it, the world would stop at how much vitriol they would give Caitlin Clark for making the team without having to try out. That was all I wanted to say on all that.
Yeah, for me, it's not about wins and losses. They're most likely going to win. It's about marketing your game, marketing your players. The NBA put out a team. I think they took 6th place in the Olympics. They put that team together because it was just stars, names, and marketing and the sale of jerseys. That team wasn't going to win the championship. I think Allen Iverson was on that team and some other people, but they came in 6th in the Olympics. I think if you're trying to grow your game and you're trying to market this player as the one, you got to put her on that team. I don't think necessarily if I was the WNBA, I wouldn't have everybody try out. I would have maybe 5 players that automatically make that team, and she would be one of them. And then you would have all, the other players, whoever they are, try out. And I guess to make up the other 7 people, I guess, if they have 12 people on the team, that's what I would have done. I'm not saying that what WNBA is wrong with what they did. I'm just saying that's just personally how I would have done it, especially if I'm trying to market my game to people and I'm building this person up as being the next big thing. I would have put her on that team.
Yeah, I find that weird that you have that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I find it weird that you have that position because you're not a big fan of rookies. You don't even necessarily think drafts matter all that much in a lot of different sports. I can see your strategy, but I can see it being that the 5 who get to make the team are going to be Diana Taurasi because she's been there ever since forever.
Yeah,
and she's just, like the Kobe position. Kobe doesn't have to try out in the USA. As long as he wanted to play, they got a spot for him. Brittany Griner, I understood. Sabrina Ionescu, she's been there for a while. The people that I would think have to try out would be the Angel Reese, Brittany Brink and Caitlin Clark and those types of folks who haven't done it before because they're trying to earn a spot on a team full of veterans. But I understand the strategy. I just think that I would implement it in reverse.
I would say it's only because, Brian, the only reason I'm saying that is because they're billing her as the next big thing. So if you're billing her as the next big thing, you would want to see her with the best female players in the world. That's just my only thinking. But
you can ruin that.
That's how you get Leitner over Shaq.
I was gonna say, yeah, because you could ruin that. Because if she gets over there and you're talking about that team is stacked, she's not gonna play. So, it's Michael Penix in Atlanta.
Yeah,
right?
you think it's rough for her playing games when she gets knocked down? Get her into practice against Diana Taurasi or Brittany Griner, who will just
they're gonna ball.
Make it a very not pleasant experience.
Yeah, right.
In particular, if they didn't feel like she earned it. Like I think that she needs to prove that she can earn it in order to be able to walk in there with Diana and say, "Hey, I've been at the training camps. I played a season. I played well. That's the only, in my opinion, the only way that you can get these super veterans to have any respect for you.
And additionally, as far as growing the game, I mean, the Team USA team is, they're top of the tops anyway. Secondarily, they're not going to grow the game enough for you to watch anyway. So just keep doing what you've been doing. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing they could do to make you watch more WNBA. So why? So just keep going with what you've been doing. You're already getting the numbers.
But everybody's not like me. But I get your point. Now, I initially said, I think in our group chat that I think it was just 4 of us or whatever. That I said that I was okay with them leaving her off the team. But I thought about it. I was like, yeah, it might be a mistake if you're because you're telling me she's about to be the next big thing. I would think you want her in the Olympics. That's just me just coming off.
What they should have done was move training camp so it wasn't during the March Madness. Or sorry, no, it was during the finals in college. And they just didn't think about it because they've never had rookies in WNBA.
I don't think you change a thing. In 4 years, if she's that, then you're ready to go. I don't think
she'll earn it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So US Open real quick. Some golf. B, what you got, man? You actually played this course. So
I actually played this course, and so there was a video. I don't know if I shared. I think I shared it with both of you, but they do a drop test on the practice green.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And it rolls all the way off, all the way down into a bunch of dirt trap. And it was really amusing to me. This came out just today when they were practicing. I did that drop test on that practice green at about the same spot. I was a little off to the right and had almost the exact same result. The only difference being is that they hadn't rolled the rough. And so it got to the rough off the green and stopped. This course is really, really hard. And it is one thing that's kind of fun for people who aren't great golfers or just kind of spectating something is watching great athletes struggle. There's going to be some serious struggles. Every single green on that course is a raised tabletop. The caddies joked that all you had to do to figure out how the greens are going to work is take a plate and flip it upside down. Like, that's the way every single green works. The key to scoring there has been and will be the short game and being able to keep it up top. I feel fortunate that my game was going pretty well that day and I did okay, but like, it is a really, really, really hard course. Those greens are lightning fast. Roll a ball on your countertop if you want to see how easy it is to get a ball moving on number 2 at Pinehurst. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think, all of these bomb guys, like, the Brysons and all that kind of stuff, that don't have a great short game. Bryson's is okay, but Rory's is really good. But they're going to suffer if you do not have a short game and you can't play the short shots and check it in. You're going to see some really, really big numbers. I wouldn't be surprised to see someone have multiple rounds in the 80s. And we laugh because that would be wonderful. I shot an 86 when I was there from the Blues, and I thought the world was my oyster for the next couple of weeks. But it's a really, really hard course. This is going to be fun to watch, even for people who do not necessarily watch a bunch of golf, because you're going to see it's going to look like what it will feel to you like it is when you're playing at a muni track. Like, they're going to suffer. It's going to be tough. So, do what you want to do. But if you're sitting around on a Saturday with no sports to watch, it is absolutely worth watching because the U.S. Open is fun for that reason. You watch professionals suffer.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy. Who you got? Who you think might pull it out?
I don't know. Rory's got his head back together, and they unfiled the divorce paperwork. He seems like he's in good spirits. He is the best driver of the golf ball from an accuracy and distance perspective. He has got a very strong short game. Sometimes his putter doesn't appreciate, and I think that's going to be problematic because you're going to have to putt. If Jordan Spieth wasn't a complete disaster all season long, I would say this is the kind of course that sets up for him. Rahm is obviously out.
Yeah, got hurt.
it's hard to say that anyone other than Scotty Scheffler is playing good enough golf to do anything. Someone who would have been good had his whole season not been a disaster, other than Jordan Spieth, is Ricky Fowler. It played well into him. His short game is actually really strong, but he's been all over the place this season. So it is one of those things like it used to be with Tiger, where it's the field versus Scheffler.
Yep, I could see that. Word.
And I think it'll be whoever wins will be under par in single digits. That's my guess.
I could see that. It's not gonna be I agree.
No. You're gonna,
of course, it's tough.
You're gonna get less than 15 golfers under par.
Whew. Word. So sliding to football. Thanks, B. NFL training camp started. I know we had, or not training camp. We had
OTAs.
OTAs today.
Mandatory
Raiders.
OTAs.
Media day was yesterday, so you had all the players in their jerseys doing interviews, taking all the headshots for the year, all the promos and stuff. So we're getting closer to football, man. It's getting exciting. As part of that, we got a couple of games coming out, interestingly enough. So on the front side, you got NCAA football is coming back after, I think, like damn near 10 or 15 years.
And Brian, I don't think I told you, not to cut you off, Glenn. So now I'm getting a PlayStation 5 this weekend because of that game. College football is coming out.
You alluded to it, yeah.
Yeah, and players are getting paid. No guilt. No guilt.
Yeah. So players with the NIL can opt in. So you'll have player names and likenesses and abilities and can build your team. Looks like it's using the same engine as Madden. I'm sure, they always make it slightly different, right? Like the college game should be a little bit more free, go a little faster. You got, more options.
Higher scoring.
Should be, right? So
those quirky offenses, yeah.
Yeah, interestingly enough, and I actually might get it too. But I'm gonna wait probably a few months when it's been used and dropped, because once Madden comes out the month later, I'm not gonna touch it anyway. So so that's kind of interesting. We're talking about that. So I don't know if you had anything specific you want to say about it, Coop.
Oh, no. I mean, people who know me, and I know you guys know, I love college football. One of the great things about going down to Brian's house for football weekend, it's not just NFL weekend for me, it's college weekend, football weekend as well. So I can watch all the college and all the professional games that I want. But I'm a big college football fan. I'm looking forward to using the University of Miami. Haven't used them in years in the game. I'm also excited about Miami's prospects this season, but I'm always excited. And then the coach fails me. But we got the quarterback we got the quarterback from Washington State, Cam Ward. He was pretty good with Washington State last year. I hope he's able to do the same thing for Miami, but I'll be able to use him. But I'm just looking forward to playing the game again and being the University of Miami.
Yeah, you the coach now. Rock the headset you got on.
Right.
Get to it.
Right, no doubt.
You the coach now.
So nothing wrong with my PlayStation 4, but this game I want to play with the PlayStation 5. So I'm breaking down this weekend. I'm gonna get it.
All right, get Madden too. Speaking of, so we can play online.
Madden comes in August. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you might as well with Christian McCaffrey as your cover athlete. They just announced that today.
People talk about that Madden curse. Let me tell you something. We've lost 3 straight Super Bowls. I don't want to hear about no Madden curse. Okay, that had nothing to do with us losing Super Bowls. We lost 3 Super Bowls in a row. Lost NFC. I think we lost a couple NFC title games. I think the last few years as well. So I don't care. I don't want to hear about no Madden curse. We got a Super Bowl curse, and that's the thing I'm trying to break. So if McCaffrey, odds are that McCaffrey's going to get hurt, and I don't think it has anything to do with the curse. I just
he got hurt
usage. I've been saying that since the season ended. Like, he's going to get hurt this year. Shanahan's just going to run him into the ground. So, but yeah, I mean, good for him. He's on the cover, I guess, if he wanted to be on the cover. But I think, Glenn, you have an issue on who he is running and who in the background.
Yeah, so y'all got to check it out. So McCaffrey comes out. They've had I was listening to this today on sports radio, and they went back like every year to like 2005. And really the Madden curse is it's curse, right? And basically, for anyone who doesn't play Madden, it means typically the cover athlete, the year that they're on the cover that season, they have some drop off, some injury, something happens where they don't have as good of a season that got them on the cover. So back then it happened like a little bit more, and then the last like 8 years or so, it really hasn't. It's unrelated to football, truthfully. It's just something that we said, like, oh, you make it on the cover, you're gonna have a bad year. So truthfully, I don't think that's it. If players get injured, they get injured. If you have a bad year, there's other stuff. It's not Madden, you know what I mean? But on the cover, I'm looking, man, like I'm sending it to y'all I'm sending it to people because I play. Shout out to my homeboy Raymond. We play Raiders versus Niners like every day, just about. I've been doing this since probably 15 years ago, back when I was living with Brian. Even been doing that, and I look on the cover and zoom in, and they got the Raiders chasing them. I do not understand why we're on there. I mean, okay, granted, I know the jokes. The only way y'all could get on the cover is if it's, with a Niner or getting run over. But of all the teams y'all played us once. Why'd they pick those jerseys, man? I don't know. You could have picked any team in the league. Pick the Packers. Tons of Packers fans beat them in the playoffs. Pick, you know what I mean? Pick the Cowboys. You could have sold a million Cowboys fans, Niners, Eagles. There's millions of teams, and you put us on there. So I gotta use it as a, I like MJ said, man. I saw it and I took it personal.
Use it as a motivational tool, being anybody
yeah.
who plays with the 49ers. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, all season.
All right.
See me. So
that's all good.
Will be fun. August 16th that comes out. And college comes out July 19th. And then NFL's getting closer, man. We're getting closer. Preseason in a couple months. So
that whole Brandon Ayuk contract, man, it's crazy because I guess people don't see how the 49ers operate. They don't sign their own free agents March 15th or the first day of free agency. These things drag out.
Yeah.
But the problem with these things dragging out is the player misses a lot of practice time, and they're not the same in the beginning of the season. That's the only part. I mean, you can have these, what I call these Kaepernick type videos where you go to high schools and run all the routes you want. It's not the same as practicing with an NFL team. It's just not. So no matter what he's doing to get in shape, man, I think this is going to drag out to the end of training camp. They'll finally re-sign him. I mean, he wants that Justin Jefferson money, which I get, but he ain't getting that Justin Jefferson money.
Yeah,
the situation is different. Minnesota knows that's his best player. They know they can't let him go. They'll do anything to re-sign him, and they should, and they did.
Yeah, and they don't have to pay a quarterback next year either.
Right. And I mean, the 49ers are not in that situation. I mean, this is going to happen with Brock Purdy next year, too. They're just not going to just open up their bank and be like, I'll give you 45, 50 million a year. It's going to drag out, too. This is how the 49ers do their contracts. They have a number. They're set. They think this is your value. The only thing they just try to get right is the guaranteed money. And I think if Brandon Ayuk gets a lot of guaranteed money, which he will, he'll be fine. That whole average value of a contract means nothing in the NFL because somebody tried to tell me that McCaffrey's average value is $16 million. I looked at his last contract. It's $11.8. It's $12 million. But he just, renegotiated whatever. But the average value doesn't mean nothing. It's all about that guaranteed money. So he'll be in camp. It's just going to take a while. But
could go into the season. That's not going for Purdy. They're going to pay him quick. Watch.
Think so? He can win MVP in the Super Bowl. It's going to drag till August to play Purdy. That's what I believe.
Watch. Not for the Golden Boy. Watch. Cool, man. Okay. So as always, another great talking to you guys, man. A fun show. Last couple segments. What's hella hogwash? Y'all heard mine. I don't know why the Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders. Okay.
I don't know why the Raiders got to be on there. I want the Raiders on there, but I want Max Crosby or something like that who's been dominant, not us in the background with the 49ers running past us. You know how much I'm going to hear that all year?
I'm not going to say nothing. It means nothing. It's a cover to me.
Yeah.
Photoshop. Yeah, I'm not going to say nothing.
It is Photoshop, but anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
guys.
guys.
You got a hogwash, B, before I go?
I do. I'm going to keep it light on this one. So my hogwash is to Nathan's Hot Dogs and Major League Eating in one of the biggest jokes of a decision. So today they banned Joey Chestnut, the 16-time professional hot dog eating champion, from being in the hot dog eating contest on July 4th because he has a sponsor by Impossible Foods, which makes it makes vegan hot dogs, as if somebody who's eating an Impossible hot dog or if Nathan's Hot Dog has to worry about the people from Impossible Foods. It is absolutely ridiculous. But what comes out about this that I also find interesting is that it's Major League Eating that is coming out and saying it's unfortunate that he decided to go get another sponsor than Nathan's and blah, blah, blah. Like, Major League Eating is supposed to be a governing body for a competitive sport in eating contests, and yet they are fully dictated by the whims and desires of Nathan's
their title
Hot Dogs,
sponsor,
which is their big title sponsor. But anyways, it is hogwash to get rid of the guy who basically made it something that people even bothered to watch on July 4th.
I know his name. That says everything.
It's hogwash that a meat brand is worried about a vegan brand, as if we're all going to stop eating kosher beef hot dogs because, Impossible hot dogs exist. Like, get real, people. Complete hogwash.
I didn't even know that. That's funny.
Cool. Yeah, me either. My hogwash is, in spirit, I guess, of college football, is Jalen Rashada, quarterback from the Bay Area. He's suing the University of Florida for $13 million because he said that money was promised to him, I guess, as NIL. The fact that a college will play a prospect over a prospect out of high school, $13 million is actually dumb and insane if you think about it. And the fact that he thought he was getting $13 million to me in my mind is even more ridiculous. I understand if you want to pay Caleb Williams after a year or two of college. I mean, I still think that's a large amount of money, but I would get it. It's Caleb Williams. But I mean, look, he was going to go to Miami at first because Miami offered him $9.5 million. And he switched his mind and went to Florida because Florida was going to pay him $13 million. He ended up playing last year at Arizona State. Didn't go so well. So now he transferred to Georgia. Now, look, he can sue the coach and the school all he wants to. The school doesn't control that. The NIL collective controls that. And with NIL being like the wild, wild west right now, there's no rules. It's not governed. I don't understand how he thinks he has a chance to recoup any of this money in a court battle. I mean, this is sports. Athletes want to get into the business, talking about it's a business. Well, in business, people lie and make promises all the time. This is what people in business do. I'm not saying all of us do that, but that's what people in business do. Yeah. I mean, all college coaches want to do is just get that athlete on campus. They make promises all the time. They'll have a guy who played quarterback in high school who's an athlete but can't throw and tell him, oh, yeah, you'll play quarterback. As soon as they get him on campus, he's playing running back or safety. I mean, they just want to get you on campus. And being that the NCAA, they're a clown show, it's unregulated. This is going to continue to keep happening. All these so-called business deals of, oh, yeah, we'll give you $13 million until that money's actually in your account. You ain't getting nothing. So I think this is just a bad look. I think for him to think he's going to get $13 million just because he was so-called promised that money if he went to Florida. Right? And he's not even a good player, but
especially
whatever.
With no contract. All right. And then last segment, minute to win it. Mine just thanks everybody for listening. And congrats to Jonathan on graduation.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Congrats to Jonathan, no doubt. I'm going to close this one out. Brian, you might might not like this one. This is about Lincoln Riley at USC. So USC is scheduled to play LSU in Las Vegas. Should be an entertaining college football game, you would think. Lincoln Riley is the coach of USC. Brian Kelly is the coach of LSU. They both have the same agent, Trace Armstrong. Well, the story came out that Lincoln Riley has been trying to get out of this game for 2 years. So we had Trace Armstrong set up a meeting with him and Brian Kelly so Kelly can back out and USC can play an easier opponent. And Kelly said, no, they're going to play the game. I think this is really a bad look for Lincoln Riley and for USC, which is another reason I'm happy for
players now.
Which is another reason why I'm happy for conference realignment, because you probably get to see some, good teams play against each other. But if you're USC, you're expected to compete for national titles. You shouldn't be scared to play anybody. You play them anytime, anywhere. That should be the bottom line. We'll play anybody. USC paid Lincoln Riley $120 million, plus bought his mansion in Oklahoma and gave him free housing in California. And yet, this game could have been a great recruiting tool for USC, and yet he doesn't want to play it. If it was year one, and he's just trying to, get, his feet under him, I get it. But this is year 3. You got all this talent. You're Lincoln Riley. You got California you can recruit. You got an unlimited NIL budget, and you don't want to play LSU. I don't know. If I was a USC fan, I wouldn't feel good about this, because I understand he didn't want to play in the SEC, but I just don't think Lincoln Riley wants to play good teams. I don't know why, but I think for some reason, he just doesn't want to. And I think if you're USC, you paid all this money for national championships, or at least be in contention. I think this is a bad look. That's just my personal opinion. The fact that he tried to get out the game is insane to me. I would never know USC to try to get out of any game. In my mind, they've never been scared to play anybody. But I guess with him there, I guess he doesn't want to play. But, we'll see what happens.
Crazy. B?
So mine was like last week, beginning of the week. I was getting ready to go to a trip, a business trip in Denver, and I needed some things to watch. I was kind of going through the list of all the things to watch, and I put a bunch of stuff on there. And I finally decided that I was going to watch a movie called Dumb Money. And Dumb Money is about the GameStop event where a bunch of started with one person, turned into a movement on Reddit, where everyone thought that they were going to go and take down hedge funds, and they were artificially inflating the value of GameStop. And it opened on March 30th, 2020, right after the pandemic, right about the point where this gentleman, his name was Roaring Kitty, decided to start buying. It was 69 cents a share. And then on 1/25/24, about 10 months later, it was $120 a share.
A GameStop.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
And it wasn't because GameStop was making money hand over fist or people were convinced that the stock was valued. It was simply that they decided that they were going to use this stock, and they also did AMC, and they were going to inflate it to the moon. And that the goal here became that they were going to take out all the short selling hedge funds and things of that nature because they were dealing on real trade value. Anyways, movie kind of goes into it. I happened to watch this last Wednesday. There's a reason why I'm saying all this and giving the whole backstory about what happened. Thursday afternoon, Roaring Kitty comes back out and says, I like GameStop again, and takes his then $47 million and dumps it all into GameStop, and is now over $2 billion in value in personal net worth, or over $1 billion. GameStop has raised over $2 billion in this recent rally. Folks, if you don't know how a pump and dump scheme works, and you're buying GameStop because you believe that you're going to take down hedge funds, you're going to take down the billionaire class, you're going to do all that kind of stuff, you're the fool that's going to be the dump. Now, if you get into it because other fools are going to do it and you're going to ride it up and then get rid and dump it before everyone else does, enjoy your money on the backs of a whole bunch of normal people who are going to go belly up. And one of the things that the movie kind of talked about a little bit was that, something's worth $20 billion and you bought it for $1 and there's now $20 billion and you take out 10 million of it, everyone else has to share that other 10 million. And the money doesn't multiply magically. Whatever gets put in is what comes out. Pump and dump schemes tend to take advantage of that, and it's happening again right now. It's been going on for the last few days, and it's up up again and into the 30s after hitting the floor. Be careful, be thoughtful. Remember that these folks who are trying to tell you that you should jump on and buy what they're buying, they're not saying that because they have your best interests in mind. They're saying that because that's how the value goes up when you put your money where their money is.
Word. We'll find natural at the end. We'll appreciate y'all for listening to Sports Counterpoints on June 11th, 2024, and we will catch y'all next show. Thanks, everybody.